Hey, what's going on? You know who it is. It is Bruce Jordan, the Michael Jordan Hotels. And this man needs no introduction, of course, but everybody knows Calvin. We don't even need to introduce him. But today we're going to be talking about building and maintaining social media relationships. So, what's going on, man? Anything new?
Everything is great, man. We're here at the Commercial Strategy Week for HSMAI. I did a talk right in this room yesterday about influencer marketing. So nice to be back in the same space talking about the same stuff. My favorite topic.
Now, for those that don't know you, of course, how did you get started in this business? Like,
Oh, absolutely. So I'm one of those lifetime hoteliers.
yeah,
I went to hotel school. I was fortunate enough to get a job in hotels right away. I started out as a reservations manager at a Hilton, and I did that for about 4 years. Tried to find my way in the industry at that point. I didn't know what I wanted to do next. I tried the food and beverage side of things. I worked very briefly for Gordon Ramsay, which was extremely fun, but burnt out really quickly.
right. I mean, that's why you're so deaf from him yelling at you all the time.
Yep, yep. That was an experience. Met a lot of cool people, but I mean, putting in 14-hour days
Yeah.
for as a reservations person was just madness to me.
Yeah, that is.
There isn't. So after that, I got back into hotels, and I landed with a person who was a lot more of a teacher in revenue management, and she started teaching me how to do it. And I'll never forget the phrase she used. She said, "It's like putting together a puzzle. There's all these different pieces that need to work together," and that really resonated with me. And from there, it just was onwards and upwards. I went from there to be a revenue manager, um, a revenue analyst at a large hotel in Times Square, and then director of revenue. And it was about 10 years of revenue management before I started my social media agency.
Nice, nice. Man, how did you get started in social media? Because, someone who's never done social media before and they say, you know what, I'm gonna give this a try. Like that's
Yeah. Well, I guess I skipped a step in the story there. I became a content creator on
I get it.
Instagram. So I started Ref Problems. I'm maybe going on about 10 years now. So I was doing that while working in revenue management, while working in hotels. And that's what taught me social media from the inside out. Learning content creation and doing it every day is different than consuming and just looking at your feed. Obviously,
Yeah.
you're being in the game versus just watching the game. But through that, I really learned how to grow an audience, how to engage an audience. My content resonates with my audience because I know who they are. I know what they're going through every day because I did it for years. And from there, while doing my job as a revenue manager, we worked with a lot of social media agencies, PR companies, and I really saw that there's a huge gap between the agencies and hotels. The agencies just don't have a lot of knowledge about hospitality and hotels' day-to-day functions. They know content, they know how to produce great content and cadence, which is important,
Mhm.
but things like seasonality that we take for granted as revenue managers that you just know, if we're already pricing for next year right now,
Correct.
right? If Thanksgiving's coming up, you start to put your Thanksgiving promos out September,
Mhm.
late August, right? Because you want to put that stuff out there when people are thinking of booking. And the
Correct.
same thing with content. You don't post about Thanksgiving the day of, it's too late, right? You want to post around the same time that you're putting those promos out. Start thinking about where you're going to be for Thanksgiving. Are you driving in? And understanding your audience is the same thing in revenue as it is in social media. And that's really how this all started. And as things progressed for me as a director of revenue, just seeing that disparity in knowledge really of each of the other side. Hotels really don't know social media either. So basically my goal is to fill that gap and bridge that gap from social media for hotels, bringing return on investment, being able to show analytics. Of course, I'm a data nerd. I'm a revenue guy, that for a decade plus. So I like stats, I like data, and we focus very, very heavily on looking at those analytics, your reach, your impressions, how many clicks are we driving to your website every
Mhm.
month, conversion rates. These are things that we focus on. I don't think a lot of agencies do in order to show a return on investment.
Nice, nice. When it comes to the relationship between the hotel and the social media manager, um, I feel like you have a little bit of backlash from the hotel because they have their job to do and like they want to do their job.
Right.
So, like, what should the relationship be with between the hotel and social media manager? Like, when you first go, and what are some of the first things that you need delivered to you to do your job?
Um, we typically focus very early on like your FAQ page from the website and just all the information that we can get because we view ourselves and we treat our clients as we're an extension of your hotel. I always say that your social media pages are going to be a reflection of what the guest expects when they show up to your hotel. So if they send us a message, they send us a direct message, a comment asking a question about the hotel, and we don't respond for 2 or 3 days, they're going to view that as the level of service you're going to get at the hotel as well, because it's the same name, you're
Mm,
promoting the hotel. So the first thing we do is we want to understand as much as possible about the hotel. Give us check-in, check-out times, do you store luggage, how big are your rooms? Let's study the website and get all that information so we can very quickly respond to your guests in an effective way that makes it seem seamless. You never want a guest to approach a social media page and know that it's someone different and know
gotcha.
that it's not part of the hotel. I managed reservations teams quite a bit in my career, and that's something that was always important. You never said, "Oh, I'll transfer you to our in-house reservations." So are you not in-house? So you know what I mean? So guess it's like, so do you work at the hotel or not? So I've always kept that in mind. That's always been something really important. You want it to feel seamless for the guest, and it's the exact same on social media. We get as much information as possible.
Nice, nice. Now, when you're dealing with social media, of course, everybody wants to make sure people are following them, especially if they get a lot of business on social media. Like, what are some of the things that you do to try to get the guests to follow the hotel social media page?
We focus on organic content, and my belief is if you provide organic content that people can resonate with, they're going to follow you. Just make good content. And what constitutes good content is something that your audience is going to want to engage with. In order to do that, you need to know who your audience is. We need to understand where your guests are coming from. Are they leisure? Are they corporate? Are they male or female? Are they Gen Z, millennials, boomers? These are things that we want to understand. These are all things we understood on the hotel side for sales, marketing, revenue. In order to sell and effectively price a hotel, you need to know these things.
Mhm.
Same thing with social media. So who is our target audience? Are we looking for a family that has, 2 kids? Then we know we can make content that's going to attract that audience. And if we're making that connection, they're going to like it. They're going to follow. They're going to tag friends in it. And as that's really how it happens. And that's why, we focus on organic. We can do paid as well, but our bread and butter is organic content that's authentic, that's going to resonate with your audience. But we need to understand who that is first in order for us to develop the right content.
Nice, nice. Speaking of developing the right content, what do you need from that hotel so you can actually put that content together?
Yeah. So a lot of our clients are independent hotels. They
Mhm,
typically have some sort of a brand kit or a media kit, a vision
mm,
of what their hotel is and the guests that they're trying to attract. And of course, because I have so much experience in hotels and the people on my team, all former hoteliers as well, we know the right questions to ask, even if they don't have something like that prepared. We know that if we're taking a hotel that's in Midtown New York City, you're getting a lot of that's going to be mostly leisure,
yeah,
especially on the weekend. We know what we need to do to attract that person. Conversely, if you've got an airport hotel, you know who that person is too, right? These are going to be very transient guests. They're likely there for a night. You're going to want to promote your transportation, your ease of access to the hotel, things that are nearby for you to do. Think like that guest. Think like that person who's going to stay at an airport hotel for a night or two. What are they likely dealing with or feeling? Is it a layover? Are they just in town for business for a quick, but again, we're hoteliers. We know this. So these are the things that we'll ask, even if not provided by the hotel. But it all starts with just understanding the guest, understanding the audience. And your social media audience is either your current guest or it's your target guest. So we're either creating content for the people you have or the people you want, and sometimes, or a blend of both.
Speaking of market, how do you know which geographical area that you want to target your post to or market to bring them in house and bring that guest on across the front
Yeah,
door?
that's a great question. If we can get that information from the hotel, typically we sit on revenue calls sometimes or the digital marketing calls. If we're not running the digital marketing, we sit on those calls to understand these type of things. For example, right now most of my clients are in New York or LA. We understand those are going to be people coming from all over. You're getting
Gotcha.
international, you're getting drive markets as well. But we try to get that from the hotel. If not, you also will get that directly on their Instagram. Typically, we're not building an Instagram for clients. They
Mhm.
already had one for a while, and you can get those analytics whether it's directly through on Facebook as well, directly through Instagram. You can see where their audience is, how active they are, what cities most of their followers are from, what countries they're mostly from, and you can pull that directly on Instagram. You can go into the Meta Business Suite and get that information as well. So, I mean, and again, who are you trying to get? If part of my talk yesterday, we were discussing influencer partnerships, and we got a request from um, the captain of Manchester United Women's Club, and the first thing that I told the property, she requests to stay over New Year's Eve in New York City, which was immediately everybody was like, no. I was like, well, let's think it through because this is a huge brand. But most importantly to this question, it was 13% of the hotel bookings come from the UK.
Mhm.
You're aligning yourself with the biggest brand in the UK and one of the biggest brands in the world, the sports wise. So it was an opportunity for us to be present in a market that's already big for the hotel, and they would clearly like to get more of that. So the short answer, long story short, is you can get those analytics through the social media channels and hopefully in conversations with the properties as well.
What would you like to see change when it comes to between like the relationship between the social media manager and the hotel? Like, what are some of the changes that you see now, or something that you want to may probably change in the future?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is that understanding that this is a team game. I'm a team person. I played team sports my whole life. I've always viewed my role at work as a revenue manager, whatever role I was doing, as part of the overall picture. I've always been very cognizant of the fact that no one role makes or breaks anything.
Mhm.
I guess may not be fair to say because if we're missing something, the operation could fall apart. But everybody plays a role. Me as a revenue manager, setting rates is important, but so is everything else, and we all need to do our part in order for this to work. So I treat our agency the same way. We're here to be an extension of your hotel. We're not here to replace you. We're not here to replace any of your efforts. We're here to supplement what you're doing. Bring our unique expertise and knowledge in social media and hospitality to do something that's going to elevate your hotel presence, your brand, and bring you more bookings. So, that's how we approach everything. I think sometimes you do get a bit of pushback because there may be someone on property who is already doing
I love
part of that role, and people take offense to the fact, well, am I doing it, not doing it well, and why they're bringing these other people in. I pride myself on my ability to build relationships and maintain relationships, and we try to come in and drive that point home that we're here to work with you. We're
Mhm.
here to, achieve the ultimate goal, which is putting more heads in your beds,
Yeah.
and we're using social media as a vehicle to do that.
Nice. 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 Man, you got anything you want to say before we leave?
Oh man, well, I could talk about this stuff all day, and I love what I do.
Anything I missed?
No, I mean, well, this is such a great topic. We could talk about this for hours. One thing I will say that I was in New York a couple weeks ago. We were doing a photo shoot for a couple of my clients there, And I caught myself. I had a moment where you realize that you fast forward, you're like, wow, I talked about this. One day I was when I worked at a hotel that was a converted 1920s hat factory in New York City, and I found this partnership, a company that does tours in these 1920s cars, and they drive you around New York City and tell you about what the city was like at that time. And I found it. We this is right as they started. We made a partnership, and the day they came in front of the hotel, people taking pictures and all this stuff, and I'm running around just making all this happen. I was super excited, and my director of sales actually was like, "You should really be in marketing. Like this, you're in your zone today." And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? You're right." And as we were doing the photo shoot last week,
Mhm.
that memory came back to me, and I was like, fast forward 4 years,
Wow.
I created the job that I wanted, and not intentionally necessarily. It just was a process of, this is always what I wanted to do. Once I saw that need for hotels and social media, I enjoy creating. Um, and I saw the need for hotels. I love the industry. I think it's what we do is
Mhm.
necessary and needed. So it was just a process of doing things, but it led to that. And I had that moment. It was like, wow, I'm actually like, I just made the job. I didn't go looking for a marketing job. It was like, I just started my own company and made it for myself, which is kind of cool.
That's right. We got dreams to live, not dreams to dream.
Yeah, yeah.
What do you think is gonna happen with TikTok?
I don't know. With TikTok, I'm pretty cynical about those type of things. TikTok is so big that I just can't see it just going away.
Yeah, because it's, like, banned in India.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard that. I can't. My just is just a opinion. It's a gut feeling is based on nothing other than just my experience. I can't see it happening. I really don't think that they would ban an app here.
Yeah.
We everybody is, this country is built on freedom, right? Freedom of choice, freedom of expression. Why I don't know how you would be able to take something like that away without a huge backlash from people.
Yeah.
The millions and billions of people that use TikTok in this country alone, you can't walk through an airport without seeing somebody doing a TikTok. You know what I mean? Um, Again, this is not based on any sort of insider information
Yeah.
or, news. I just don't I have a hard time seeing that happen. If it does, there'll be something else. That's
Mhm.
just how it works. I mean, TikTok has been around for a long time in different versions and different names, but it blew up because of users, and
Yeah.
those users will go somewhere else. Whether they start a new app, there'll be something new that'll come up, or they'll get more into Instagram and utilize Instagram in that way, because all of these apps learn from each other. I mean, Instagram Reels is a thing that everybody is knows that. Instagram Reels came because TikTok.
That's right.
It
YouTube Shorts came because it's TikTok.
exactly. All of these things started out because of what other apps were doing. I mean, we all take for granted you can put filters on Instagram stories now. That's because of Snapchat.
Mm.
People were using Snapchat simply for that, because you could do these crazy funky filters on your photos, and then all of a sudden Instagram started stories, and now you can put filters. So it'll things will evolve, and if TikTok does go away, something else will pop up and take its place.
Yeah.
These people want to create, and they've gotten accustomed to using social media and these platforms in order to do so. So they'll find another one.
Mm. That makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you for joining us today. This is thanks.
It's always a pleasure.
And thank you guys for tuning in for another episode. This is Bruce Jordan, the Michael Jordan Hotel, signing out. This episode was brought to you by the Hotel Revenue Bible, the #1 hotel revenue book that has ever been written. It includes revenue management, digital ads, social media marketing, sales, catering, F&B, and more. Grab your copy today at hotelrevenuebible.com.